when we lost touch with nature, with the universe, with the clouds, lakes, birds, when we lost touch with all that, then the priests came in. Then all the superstition, fears, exploitation, all that began. But the priest became the mediator between the human and the so-called divine. And I believe if you have read Rig Veda, or I was told about it because I don't read all this, that there, in the first Veda, there is no mention of God at all. There is only this worship of something immense, expressed in nature, in the earth, in the clouds, in the trees, in the beauty of vision. But that being very, very simple, the priest said, that's too simple.
Let's mix it up.
Let's mix it up, let's confuse it a little bit. And then began. I believe this is traceable from the ancient Vedas to present time, where the priest became the interpreter, the mediator, the explainer, the exploiter, the man who said this is right, this is wrong, you must believe this or you'll go to perdition, and so on, so on, so on. He generated fear. Not the adoration of beauty, not the adoration of life lived totally, wholly without conflict, but something placed outside there, beyond and above what he considered to be God, and made propaganda for that. So I feel if we could, from the beginning, use the word religion in the simplest way, that is the gathering of all energy so that there is total attention, and in that quality of attention the immeasurable comes into being. Because as we said the other day, the measurable is the mechanical.
Yes. Yes.
Which the West has cultivated, made marvelous, technologically, physically, medicine, science, biology, and so on, which has made the world so superficial, mechanical, worldly, materialistic, and that is spreading all over the world. And in reaction to that, this materialistic attitude, there are all these superstitious, nonsensical, unreasoned religion that is going on. I don't know if you saw the other day the absurdity of these gurus coming from India and teaching the West how to meditate, how to hold breath, how they say, I'm God, worship me, and falling there deaf. You know, it has become so absurd.
Yes.
And childish, so utterly immature. All that indicates the degradation of the word religion and the human mind that can accept this kind of circus and idiocy.
Yes,
Yes,
no,
please,
go
sir.
ahead. I was thinking of a remark of Sri Aurobindo's in a study that he made of the Veda, where he traced its decline in this sentence. He said it issues as language from sages, then it falls to the priests, and then after the priests it falls to the scholars or the academicians. But in that study, there was no statement that I found as to how it ever fell to the priests. And I was wondering whether...
I think that's fairly simple, sir.
Yes, please.
I think that's fairly simple, how the priest got hold of the whole business. Because a man is so concerned with his own petty little affairs, petty little desires and ambitions, superficiality. He wants something little more. He wants little more romantic, little more sentimental, more something other than the daily beastly routine of living. So he looks somewhere and the priest says, hey, come over here, I've got the goods. I think it's very simple how the priests have come in. It is, you see it in India, you see it in the West, you see it everywhere where man begins to be concerned with daily living, the daily operation of bread and butter and house and all the rest of it. He demands something more than that. He says, after all, I'll die, but there must be something more.
So fundamentally, it's a matter of securing for himself some
heavenly grace.
Some heavenly grace that will preserve him against falling into this mournful round of coming to be and passing away.
Yes.
Thinking of the past on the one hand, anticipating the future on the other. You're saying he falls out of the present now.
Yes, that's right.
I understand.
So if we could keep to that meaning of that word, religion, then from there, the question arises, can the mind be so attentive in the total sense that the unnameable comes into being? You see, personally, I've never read any of these things, Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, all the rest of it, or any philosophy. But I questioned everything.
Yes.
Not questioned only, but observed. And one sees the absolute necessity of a mind that's completely quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's only out of quietness you perceive what is happening. If I'm chattering, I won't listen to you. If my mind is constantly rattling away, what you're saying, I won't pay attention. Mm-hmm. To pay attention means to be quiet.
There have been some priests, apparently, who usually ended up in a great deal of trouble for it. There have been some priests who had, it seems, a grasp of this. I was thinking of Meister Eckhart's remark that whoever is able to read the book of nature doesn't need any scriptures at all.
At all. That's just it.
Of course, he ended up in very great trouble. Yes, he had a bad time toward the end of his life, and after he died, the church denounced him.
Of course, of course. I mean, organized belief as church and all the rest of it is too obvious. You know, there is no. It isn't subtle, it hasn't got the quality of real depth and real spirituality. You know what it is.
Yes, I do.
So, I'm asking, what is the quality of a mind, and therefore heart and brain, what is the quality of a mind that can perceive something beyond the measurement of thought?
Mm-hmm.
What is the quality of a mind? Because that quality is the religious mind.
Mm-hmm.
That quality of a mind that is capable, that has this feeling of being sacred in itself, and therefore is capable of seeing something immeasurably sacred.
The word devotion seems to imply this when it's grasped in its proper sense. To use your earlier phrase, gathering together,
Yes.
Toward a one-pointed, attentive.
Attention is, would you say attention is one-pointed?
No, I didn't mean to imply focus when I said one-pointed.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
I meant rather integrated into itself as utterly quiet and unconcerned about taking thought for what is ahead or what is behind. Simply being there. The word there isn't good either, because it suggests that there's a where and a here and all the rest of it. It is very difficult to find, it seems to me, language to do justice to what you're saying. Precisely because when we speak, utterance is in time, and it is progressive. It has a quality, doesn't it, more like music than we see in graphic art. You can stand before a picture, whereas to hear music and grasp its theme, you virtually have to wait until you get to the end and gather it all up.
Quite.
And with language, you have the same difficulty.
No, I think so, won't you? When we are inquiring into this problem, what is the nature and the structure of a mind, and therefore the quality of a mind, that is not only sacred and holy in itself, but is capable of seeing something immense.
Mm-hmm.
As we were talking the other day about suffering, personal and the sorrow of the world, it isn't that we must suffer. Suffering is there. Every human being has a dreadful time with it. And there is suffering of the world. And it isn't that one must go through it, but as it is there, one must understand it and go beyond it. And that's one of the qualities of a religious mind, in the sense we are using that word, that is incapable of suffering. It has gone beyond it, which doesn't mean that it becomes callous. On the contrary, it is a passionate mind.